Hey, there he is.
Technology.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. It takes like 10 more seconds to connect when you're going 3,000 miles.
Yeah. Well, listen, I owe you an apology. Of the 50 or so people I've talked to, you're only the second person I don't actually know. And
That's
when we
totally
scheduled
cool.
it, I never would have given you the first time slot if I would have realized that you're that far away. And I
Oh
would have
no,
tried to.
we're morning people for the most part. Like I try to keep uh like my day-to-day schedule um when we got locked down, when we went into quarantine, because it's just like you gotta eat. I'm not a sleep all dayer anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Well, why don't you get us started as people are joining us here? Tell us who you are, where you are, and what you do.
My name's Sammy, Sammy Kay. I am originally from the Greater Asbury Park area in New Jersey, but these days I hang out with my wife and two stepdaughters here in Bakersfield, California.
And how long have you been out there?
Uh, I popped out here in June, so almost a year now, coming up
Okay.
on a year out here.
So that's pretty recent. Excellent.
Yeah, it was.
And you mentioned that you're sorry, keeping your schedule. Uh, I've given up trying to keep pets out of
That's
these
total.
things. Um,
I'm jealous. I wish I had a cat crawling over me right now.
she's mad because I closed the blinds. It was too bright in my eyes.
Yeah.
Anyway, how are you passing the time while we're stuck at home?
Oh, we're doing everything and nothing. Absolutely everything and nothing. At first, the first couple weeks, we tried to just get everything around the house done, and I've been writing a little bit, but you know, not as much as I should be. I'm sorry. I'm writing as much as I want to be, but I'm not finishing as much as I should be. But yeah, in the last like 2 weeks, we started to our jobs started to push more like. My wife works at Sephora, and I work at a facility for adults with special needs. So now we figured out Zoom. So both
Mm-hmm.
of us are in like these work meetings, and I'm with my clients for a little bit every day. And but for the most part, we're just hanging out. It's 100 degrees here already, so
Wow.
we're lucky. We're not getting snow and rain, and you're out in the middle of Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, and we got a little bit of snow yesterday.
Yeah,
Nothing,
it was
not
it
enough
was
to
a
lay
hundred.
down, but
It was 102 yesterday. So
incredible.
my wife bought roller skates, like quad, like leopard print roller skates, and um, and we just skateboard around town now. Kill time, pass time.
Yeah, that's
But
good.
but yeah, we've been just hanging out. The little one, her 12th birthday was like 10 days ago. So we bought her. She taught her she can play ukulele, and she taught herself a couple chords. So now, like whenever she's here, it's like, all right, we're learning how to play guitar now, right?
It's
So that's been
fantastic.
super fun. That's been she's been the biggest time pass. Just hanging out with her name's Rowan. She's like just she's a golden girl in a 12-year-old's body. Like she's just got that like um yeah, you know exactly what I'm trying to say, right?
I do. My son has always been like that too. He was like, 8 going on 40 or whatever, and he just turned 20 a couple days ago. And
Cool.
everybody's like, on one hand, it's hard to believe he's already 20. On the other hand, he's always felt like he was an adult. So
Is he dancing around the music thing like how you are?
he has played music most of his life. He played trumpet,
Cool. Cool.
and for Christmas, got himself his first electric guitar.
Cool.
So I'm super excited. He was saying he went away to college, and he's like, I can't really just play my trumpet in the dorms, and I miss playing music. So he decided
Yeah,
to learn guitar.
that's awesome. Um,
Yeah.
is he like going to a lot of shows and doing that life as well?
Not as much as he did when he was younger, and I would drag him along to them
Yeah,
because he's in
cool.
school. But he and his friends are really into music. It's all they talk about. It reminds me of me and my friends at that age.
Yeah.
And
Um,
they go to record stores a lot. And
cool.
yeah.
My oldest stepdaughter, she's like a year shy of yours. She's 19, and she's like straight edge hardcore punk kid. Like, swear to God, like, I'm pretty tattooed. I'm about to be 31. She's coming up close already. Like, she just bought tickets for Fest. She was like, I took her last year. I played it last year, and she's like, "Hey, are you gonna go to Fest?" I'm like, I mean, I'd like to. And immediately it was like, we both just said the Gorilla Biscuits are playing, and she was like, I'm gonna go. Like, I'm just gonna buy the ticket, and if I can get there, I'll get there. So she's now like, I showed her this weird, festival. Like, there's these cool little weekenders across the world,
Yeah,
across the country, all year. Like, so now she's fallen in love with that,
that's
and
awesome.
it's pretty cool to see. Um,
Yeah, that's fantastic. Fest is in the fall, is that right?
yeah, it's always Halloween weekend down in
Halloween.
Gainesville.
Yeah. I hope things are, that we can get together by then.
I do too. And at the same time, I'm kind of okay with it if we don't. I mean, I'm totally not okay with it, but like, you got to do what's right. And if like, I feel guilty because we our coffee shop opened up. Um, it's about 4 blocks from our house, and there's 2 outdoor patio seats on each side of the patio, and like, I'll get up early to take that just so I can people watch the 10 people in
Right.
2 hours coming to the coffee shop, just for that, like. But then I feel bad because I'm like, I'm not socially distancing at all. You win some, you lose some.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm an event planner and I run a concert series and I want so badly to be able to
So you're
do it
you're
together
done.
again, but
Yeah,
I don't want to do it before it's safe to do it.
I have, we'll say 3 jobs, right? I play music, I travel a lot, and get to tour around a lot. I work for festivals selling merch, right? Like, I was supposed to work 5 festivals in 10 weeks this summer, like, and I work at essentially a school, right? Like, I have nothing. My whole everything that pays a bill relies on crowds,
Yeah,
and
same.
yeah, we're just hanging out.
Yeah, but imagine how much greater it's going to be when we can get together after having to be. I don't think I'll ever take any of it for granted ever again.
Yeah, we yeah, that's the thing. We after California, I believe it's 9 weeks now. We've been on lockdown, social distancing, and this past week we finally said, like, we're gonna break the rules a little bit, and we talked to one friend, our friend Kelsey. We're like, "Are you safe?" She's like, "I'm safe," and we're like, "We're safe. We're having a picnic. Like, it's happening." So we sat on opposite ends of a picnic table, and it was just like, just that 2 hours we sat there, with a little Bluetooth speaker, just eating breakfast. It was just like, this is.
Yeah. My
There's
son's at his dad's house, so he comes over a couple times a week, and we stand across the driveway from each other and kind of yell at each other.
We with the
Not the
girls
same.
and their dad, we just said, like, you know what, like, we're cool with that, because Rowan's just a little too young to stay at home alone, and we live like in the heart of downtown. Pretty much, we're both directly across from the Greyhound station and the train station, so it's not the most beautiful part of town or the safest. So she's always with one of us, either us or her dad. So we just that's like our only fun interaction is the little one now.
Yeah, yeah. Talk to me a little bit about, pre-quarantine and everything. You moved almost a year ago. What was it like um, to pick up and move your life in that way? I mean, if you tour a lot, maybe it didn't make a big difference, but how has it changed your day to day?
Um, my day to day is the same, for the most part, with kids now. I'm looking at touring a little differently. Like, we put out Civil War October 4th, and I went and played 90 shows, 85 shows in 90 days. Like, that's not happening no more. But for the most part, I've always been a transient, and I've always been sort of jumping around. And for the most part, I could probably move everything I own in the back of a 15-passenger van. I've tried to live, like, with the exception of guitars and amplifiers and road cases, like, I tend to live pretty easy. Even out here, like, I threw a lot of stuff in storage. Like, I took 2 guitars. I don't have an amp out here, right? Like, I was supposed to be flying back and forth. And it was like, all right, I'm gonna take another guitar and another bag of stuff, right? But but you know, the cool thing about Bakersfield and Asbury Park, right, is that they're two, for lack of a better word, cities of industries, right? Bakersfield's an oil town, and Asbury Park is a, like, essentially resort town. There's no resort there, but it's a seasonal town, right? And these two kind of run down, right? There's the oil field trash, and then there's the beach rats, right? They're not that different. And even down to the weird history of each town, like Bakersfield, we have Buck Owens and Merle Haggard, and you know, ultimately we have Korn too, which is cool. But you know, new metal, a lot of the new metal bands came out here, but a lot of those original, like the Buckaroos and Buck Owens. But if you take Buck Owens and you cross that name out, like if you take all of Bakersfield and move it to the Jersey Shore, all you have to do is cross out Buck Owens and write Bruce Springsteen. It's got the same. There's the Crystal Palace here, and there's the Stone Pony there. And if you want to talk punk rock, there's the old Asbury Lanes there, and there's Jerry's Pizza here. Like these legendary, like, punk venues, right? That the physical transition, right? Asbury Park is about 65 miles to New York City, about 75 miles to Philadelphia, right? I'm 75 miles to Hollywood, 80 miles to downtown LA, right? It's no different. Like Ventura is 65 miles, right? It's not that, like, literally the transition was just like once I pieced that together, it was like, oh, cool, I get it, right?
That's amazing.
Like in Asbury Park, like you can go to this place called Cafe Vallon, and on any given day you can see like Christina White, who's a wonderful publicist. She does punk rock bowling and Bad Religion, and hanging out with Pete from the Bouncing Souls, with Ari from Lifetime, and you'll catch one of the Gaslight guys walking by, right? Among all the other local musicians. And then you go over here and you go to a place like Dagny's is the local coffee shop that everybody sort of hangs out with. And there's a smoking patio, and it's still the same meeting of the minds, right? There's the guys some of the guys that play in Buck's Kids Band hang out there, and like all these really phenomenal musicians and songwriters. It's literally like, when I say same heart, different city, it's the same heart, you know?
I think that's super cool to have drawn that comparison so quickly. Also,
It
do you
took me
think that you're
6
the kind of
months.
person that wherever you would go, you would find some sense of community?
Yeah, I'm the bright side of life guy, for sure. You know, I if every day, like, my knuckles read PMA and TCB, right? Like, you got to take care of business, and you got to try and make the best of every situation, right? But that's always me. I'm a bright side of life guy.
Yeah.
On
So
a
you're going
good
to
day.
gravitate toward places that have that sense of community.
Yeah,
And
and
if not, you're going to bring it with you.
yeah, and even now, like, the interesting thing I found about Bakersfield is that a lot of these singer-songwriters, like, they know the Merle songbook and the Buck book and like traditional Americana to the T, right? But they weren't writing songs, or they weren't playing out their own songs. And now, like, me and like, all right, cool, let's just make records. Let's hang out. Let's write. Let's like, because I'm a writer before anything. If I didn't have to play another show in my life, I'd be bummed, but I'd be okay with it, you know? But if I couldn't write any more songs or write any more records, like, we're done. We're done here, you know? It's cool to see now, like, kind of pushing each other. And like, I've never been an open mic guy. My little one loves it, so we go every week. And now they're doing it online, and it's like, all right, I'm writing songs, and now you're writing songs, and everybody's trying to write a new song every week.
Is she playing them? Is she playing these open mics?
We're pushing now. She's a very she's shy, for sure. But we got her this guitar like right the day before we had to go into lockdown, maybe 2 days before all of our shows got canceled.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy Dave, who lives in town, he was like, I got a beautiful backyard. Why don't y'all just come and play songs in the backyard for a couple hours? And like that night, our friend Kelsey, who runs this coffee shop that I keep talking about, and she runs the open mic, and our friend Lauren Appleton, who's in, her and her husband are in this band called the Appletons that are just phenomenal. Her husband plays with Buck's kid. He's Buck's kid's
Wow.
guitar player. So we're talking, you know, like all the licks, like it's the Kyle's hands are just like yeah, comparable to Corey Brandon. And I don't think I know anybody that's a better guitar player than Corey Brandon, right? And like having such a strong right hand and left hand and how they work together. We were all playing in these two badass women convinced her to go up and play ukulele with Kelsey singing, and that was like the first kind of catalyst for her. And then since we got the guitar, she's coming over like, all right, like she's fumbling her way through Wish You Were Here, and we were playing. I started showing her just the basic Tom Petty songbook because it's all four chords, five chords, yeah. And they're melodies that you know, and as you're learning how to play, I'm like, oh, okay, right. Chord, like guitar for me didn't make sense until like because I was learning off of Clash records and punk records, and once I started learning like Petty songs and the simpler Springsteen songs,
Mm-hmm.
that's when the melody chord, oh, this is how this works. Social Distortion, I learned a lot of Social Distortion songs when I was first learning how to play guitar, and like once I pieced it, like, oh, the chords and the words really need to lock, right? So I'm showing her those songs,
Yeah,
and she's starting to click, and
that's
she's
exciting.
like, you know, she likes learning the White Stripes songs right now, and you know, it's really fun. It's just really rad.
That's cool.
You know.
Are you getting to listen to much music?
Yes.
What are you listening to?
I've been going through the John Prine songbook pretty heavily. Just on that sheer fact that I brought up Corey Brandon, like he does digital guitar lessons. So like I took a couple because my right hand, my finger picking hand isn't strong. And I knew some patterns, and I was like, I need to figure this out. So he basically showed me like 3 of the 5 main Prine patterns. So I'm just listening to John Prine a lot. Just, all right, what's he doing? What's he doing? Trying to learn. I'm listening. I love American Aquarium.
Mm-hmm.
New record came out. It's great.
Oh, I haven't gotten to hear the new record yet.
It's good. They did it with Shooter Jennings, and I like Shooter Jennings a lot too. My wife loves Shooter Jennings actually. So he's on pretty regularly. So that it's cool to see like one of my bands and one of her bands, right? I like the new Fallon record a lot. Brian Fallon put out that Local Honey record. I've been revisiting obscure hardcore bands to try and get my kid to like different hardcore bands instead of her like 5 straight edge hardcore bands, and some New Jersey pop punk too. I'm trying to get her to like the Ergs, which was like this kind of catalyst band in New Brunswick. After, right, scenes come in waves, right? The Lifetime scene died, and then the Ergs kind of showed up a little later, and it was like it kind of pushed a cool thing, and I feel like she liked them. I'm trying to wrap my head around the Isabel singles. I'm looking forward to that record.
Me too.
The singles are really cool, and the singles are really different. But they're
He's versatile.
What's that?
He's versatile.
Yeah, I had a problem and I hate saying this, I had a problem with the 400 unit record in the sense of the songs were so beautifully written, but the thing about folk music or Americana or rock and roll or anything in general, like I believed what he was saying in the songs, and I believed he believed what he was saying in the songs, but I didn't believe he was selling what he was saying, right? Just the way his performances were. That, like, I saw him live, and I was like, oh, this is how this record was supposed to be, right? On that tour. And the new singles, there's just like a little bit, he gave it a little more oomph, I think, than the last record.
That the one?
No, the Nashville Sound record.
Oh yeah.
Right? I felt everything on that record was perfect, but I had trouble believing what he was saying. Lucero was the last Lucero record is Among the Ghosts is fucking awesome, but they're like the 3 songs that I want to be so perfect on the record that are on the demos record that they released. Like, I wish they just flipped them to that like perfect record, right? But I'm loving the Isabel singles. It's like, all right, we're here. Like, this is like, it's gonna be. I'm hoping it's gonna be good. Everything I've heard has been really cool.
I pre-ordered that one, so I'm looking forward to it. That's this week.
I did too. I saw a lot of people are getting them on Instagram.
He did 1 week ahead of schedule. You could get it from local record shops.
Yeah,
Some deal like that to promote local record shops, which I thought was a cool thing to do.
I thought that was awesome.
I guess if we pre-ordered it, it comes a week later.
Yeah, bummer. I pre-ordered it.
That's okay. 2 things. I want to recommend, I don't know if my friend Jonathan is still on. I saw him pop up in the chat a little bit ago, but he hosts a show called Band in SC that I listen to streaming every Monday night. That's all metal, hardcore. I'll have to send you a link so you and the little one can
Yeah,
do it.
I'm in.
Also, sitting here next to me, this is a photo taken by Amelia Pare. She's a photographer that I think she lives somewhere in California now. She was in Nashville when she took this. It's so dusty. But this is me and my best friend James watching Fallon play solo at Newport, and she just happened to catch us with her Polaroid. And she
Are you a Newporter?
And I don't know her at all. And I commented on it. And I was like, "Hey, that's me and my best friend." So she asked me for my address and mailed it to me.
That's awesome. So you're a Newporter?
Oh yeah, I would drag 2 broken legs to get there. I wouldn't miss it for anything.
That is. I've gotten to do a lot of cool things, right? I've gotten to, like, if I could never play guitar and play a show again tomorrow, like, I'm pretty content. There was literally 2 things left on my bucket list, and it was to play with Prine and to play Newport. That's it.
It's so magical.
And I'll even take playing Newport, slashing it, to going to Newport. It's just, there's something about it, and just like, it just seems so, like, it's
magic. Yeah, right? The whole focus is on the music. There's no ego involved in anything the whole weekend. It's spectacular. This would have been my 10th year going.
That's awesome.
They had to cancel, so 2021 will be extra amazing, I'm sure.
Maybe I'm gonna go this next year. Maybe that'll be the goal. I'll go. My wife is probably
2021.
My wife is downstairs watching, drinking a coffee, and she's like, "No, you're not going. You can't do a $5,000 festival trip."
Nah, you can do it on the cheap.
Yeah, that's why I was working these festivals. I like fell into it off tour to get paid, just because it's like my wife's like, "Yep, you're not going." It was a quick come up for cash to be in between tours, and what we do is we book some tours around festivals, because we'd be halfway through tour and we'd be doing all right, and then we'd take 3 days off and get our asses handed to us, but we'd make a couple grand like instantly. And then once I started working and things were leveled out and whatever, I would work them just to see, like, I'd tell my boss, like, I want to see these 3 bands. That's it. I got to see all these 8 bands or whatever, or bands that I've never seen that I wouldn't necessarily spend. Like, I saw the Strokes. Like, I'm not going to spend $200 to see the Strokes, but I'm going to sneak out on my lunch break and watch the Strokes, right?
Yep.
I got to see Casey Musgraves like 3 times in 2 weeks or something like that, 3 weeks. It was awesome, you know?
Yeah.
It's a cool, I like that festival thing. It's a cool thing.
I think I've gotten to a point where I don't get excited about festivals in general anymore. I think I've gotten too old for it. But Newport, there's a couple of them that I really, really love. And Newport, I would never miss it ever.
Yeah. I have like a weird attachment with it. I have ticket stubs in storage of the Dylan, like the plugging in thing. Because my grandparents went.
65. Oh wow.
They were at the show because that wasn't the first night Dylan plugged in. That's the first time I ever heard about it. Like he did it in New York the night before, and like somewhere in upstate New York the night before that, and they went to both of those shows and left pissed, like furious. And they ended up like the story. My grandfather told me he went to Newport hoping that he'd have an acoustic guitar, and like left, like lost his shit and left, like 3 nights
That
in a
is
row,
very
like
polarizing.
right. Which is funny because I've seen Dylan enough now where like if there's not a guitar for him on stage, like it's not gonna necessarily be great. But those days that you see him play the guitar, or even like I've seen him play the bass, where he stands up and plays a stringed instrument, they tend to be a little more magical when he's just sitting at than when he's just sitting at the piano. You know, I want to go so bad.
Keep it on the bucket list, man.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that year, every year there's one act, like you're excited about the whole lineup because it's so well curated that everything you see is going to be amazing. But that year was Fallon was the one I most wanted to see.
because
I'm
that was
a
the
huge
first. That
Gaslight
was
fan.
that
I'm
was
a
the
huge
first
fan of
solo
his
show,
solo.
right?
I had seen him play solo before, but it was
That
like
was
right after
yeah.
Gaslight
That
broke
was the
up.
first post Gaslight solo show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And so I had this backstage pass and got to watch him from side stage, and
yeah.
it
We
was
got
a
to
pretty good
do.
memory.
We did the Get Hurt tour,
Hmm.
the like the second leg of it, and I sat side stage every night Indian style, like
Taking it in.
because I was lucky. I got to see them in basements, you know.
Mhm.
Like I saw them at the Asbury Lanes, and there was like 7 people there. It was like them and the Ergs. They had like Punk Night Wednesdays, and there was like less than a dozen people there.
That's amazing. My first Gaslight show wasn't until after the 59 Sound came out. Saw them at
Yeah,
the Chalk in Philly.
yeah. Which tour was that?
Would
Was
have
that?
been like 2009. It might have been the
Yeah,
59 Sound tour.
I went to the 59. That my old man. See, I got into like a lot of the Americana alt punk. We'll use the word alt punk and like it bands. My dad is a big music guy, and he got into 59 heavily. Um, you know how you were saying you were taking your son to shows. Like my dad was taking me to see the Hold Steady and sneaking me beers at 15, like because that's what you do at a Hold Steady show, right? Uh, we I'm gonna use the word we here. We got into a bad fight. I was like maybe 18 at a Lucero show, like because some dude was just being a creep, and my dad was like, "That guy's being an asshole." It's like, "What's he doing?" And he was like, "This is what he's doing." And I saw it, and then we both laid into this dude for just being a scumbag. Um, but when he fell in love with that band, with the Gaslights, same thing like when he did with the Hold Steady, like he went all in, and he was one of those guys like I'm gonna catch Philly, New York. Oh, there's a Delaware show, like I might as well.
Yep.
Because at that point, like if you didn't buy your Jersey tickets the second they want to sell, you weren't going. You know, because it was weird. They did this thing where they were playing. They went from playing like the 100 cap room in New Jersey directly, like not selling it out, directly to the 2,000 cap room, like
Yeah.
that, right? It was a wild thing.
I remember Brian Fallon saying at that Chalk show that first time I saw them, you know, a year ago, nobody knew who we were outside of, you know, our
New
local
Brunswick, New
New
Jersey. Yeah,
Jersey, and now everyone is singing along to every word of every song a year later. So they blew up pretty fast when they did.
their their fans are loyal too. They've definitely kept. We did 20 shows with him, and still their fans, like, they're now my fans. Like, we showed up, I did the UK, a proper UK tour for the first time this year. Did like 8, 9 shows in the UK. And I showed up to Manchester, and everybody had a Gaslight 59 sound die cut pin on their jacket or a shirt on. And I showed up not expecting a lot, and like Manchester sold out before doors.
That's
Like,
awesome.
and these kids, these people knew the words, and they knew my songs, and they were stoked. And I think a lot of that directly has to do with the Gaslights.
Yeah.
Most of those UK shows were like, we heard about you on this Gaslight tour, and that tour was like 6 years ago now. It wasn't even like it was last year. Like 6 years later, and we were playing like 2 good sized rooms, you know, small, full small rooms, you know.
That's really cool. We have a rule in our family. We always show up in time for the opening act. And, you know, I have so much respect for bands taking people out on tour with them and picking people to
That
kind of
are
take
worth
under
like
their wing and
that,
introduce to their fans.
that are worth nothing. Like, we were worth. I mean, we're still not worth a lot, but like, we were literally worth nothing to them. We maybe brought probably less than 50 people to the table that tour. Period. And 48 of them were on our guest list, right?
But they liked what you did and wanted to introduce you to their fans. And I think that's how it all works.
We left for that tour. This is how rad their people are. We left for that tour with like, we had planned 4th Street Singers to come out right when that came out, and we're like, all right, we're gonna press 800 CDs. We're never gonna sell 800 CDs. We sold 800 CDs in 4 days, 5 days. Like, because we were just walking around the crowd like, yo, $5, we're on tour, we're broke, come on, help us out, right? And
Amazing.
and from the first show, I think it was within a week, like the online, like the labels was like, yo, you guys are like selling digital downloads left and right. Like, this is great. But within a week, we were somewhere with that. We literally never played like Winnipeg. There were fucking 10 kids in the front row that knew the words from the people from the week before on like the message boards and stuff. It was, their fans
Cool.
are the most fierce people I could, but they're loyal, and they believe. That's really it. It's the whole point. You got to believe in something, you know.
Like my gateway Frank Turner song, which would have probably been around the same year or maybe a couple years later. Every time I hear the song, I still believe. I cry my face off.
Oh yeah, the harmonica solo. Whew. And then with that, like, because Frank was a weird one for me. Because I saw Revival Tour in Asbury, and it was Frank's first show in the States, right? Like,
Wow.
Ben Nichols got drunk the night before and blew his ACL, and did it. Him and Todd Bean were just walking around on crutches, right? But so Frank, like, I love Frank, and I love Frank's songs, but the thing I really appreciate about Frank is that Frank talks about, like, I was never a Weaker Things guy. I didn't know it, or John K. Samson, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I knew Propaganda, right? But I didn't realize John K. Samson went and did Weaker Things, and then the soul stuff. No idea. That's a Frank thing. Like, Frightened Rabbits. Like, I had no idea about the Frightened Rabbits. I don't think I would have found that band if
Yeah.
it wasn't for Frank.
Frank
And I
Turner
don't.
has connected me to a lot of my favorite music.
Yeah. And now I see Frank and Micah, right? Micah from Tucal, Micah Schnabel.
Mabel, yeah.
And Vanessa, like, I see them just, their circle growing, and I'm seeing, like, he's just, you know, Fallon Frank, like I feel like those guys, and Lucero too, like I see them having like Ben Abney on like the family picnic last year. Like he's just a local kid, like, and I love Ben. Like we played basements with Ben when we're in Ben Abney, you know. But it's so cool to see these bands realize there are other really cool things that they love or enjoy, and putting it out, like,
Yeah. Talk about community. Oof.
and just you know, yeah, just that push too, that little push, like there's no reason why that new Micah record shouldn't go down in history next to the last John Prine record. It's fucking flawless, right? That Memory Currency song is like, right, that could be on a Frank record, that could be on a Frightened Rabbits record, that could be on a Tom Waits record, right? If you look at it, and it's just like, it's just such a beautifully written song that, like, there's no reason why Memory Currency couldn't be with the names flipped on a fucking Taylor Swift record, right? You know what song I'm talking about?
I don't know that record.
Oh, go and listen to it. Do you know? So. Oh my gosh, I'm about to order you this record right now. It's Mike wrote the song called Memory Currency, and it's a quiet thing, and then it jumps into this big banger, then it drops, and it tells stories about how we met like Mike D from in Portland, like I Can Lick Any Son of a Bitch, Mike D, and how we met Shane Sweeney and Vanessa and all of his close circle, and it's just one of those perfect songs, and it's just,
Well,
yeah,
I'm gonna look forward to checking it out.
yeah. That's, if
Before
there's
we
one
wrap up
thing.
here, do you want to tell us where, because we're running out of time, where we can
Oh yeah,
find
we are, huh?
information about you, how we can best support you, the things you care about? What do you want us to know?
I'm easily found on the internet. Everything is at Sammy Kay NJ. We put out a cool record this year called Civil War that I'm pretty proud of. That kind of pushed. We've been slowly going quieter and more Americana and less punk rock, and this was the dive into it, and I'm really stoked on it. We're making a record ish. I'm recording now. When the studio's open, if it'll see the light, I don't know, but it's cool. We got a marching band.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I got a fucking marching band. Um, um, go buy Micah's record.
All right. Good advice.
Yeah,
Good
that's
advice.
it.
For anyone
I'm
who's watching at
I'm still getting paid right now for my work. I'm not like, please, like, go buy your favorite independent artist record. Just go and do it.
always good advice. At 1 o'clock Eastern, I'm going to be talking to MC Heiser, who is also here in York. He runs Skid Row Garage, a punk rock, metal,
Yeah.
hardcore venue. And then on through the day, I'll be talking to people on the hour, and I'll be doing this every Sunday until we can leave the house again. So I hope people will continue to tune in. And then these do go up on the Cable House Presents YouTube channel, so you can watch
Cool.
them after the fact, and I can put links and tags and stuff.
Yeah, send me that link when you got it. Yeah.
Sure will. It was really great to meet you, Sammy.
It's
Thanks
nice
for
to meet
taking
you
time
too,
to
and we'll see
talk
you
to me.
next time we're in that part of the world.
Yeah,
Or
please.
you're out here, you let me know.
Yeah, keep in touch.
Yes, be good, be safe.
Take care.
Wash your hands.